Okay, call the meeting to order. Welcome. Thank you, Ashley. Call the meeting to order. And first thing, if you could you please stand and we'll take a moment of reflection before we begin. Well, as you know, we are recording and live streaming. Ashley, can you give us an update for anybody that is joining us virtually?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Eccles. Before I begin, at any point, if you get disconnected, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the ID for this meeting, which is 891-5626-2480. Both members of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be raising their hands physically to speak. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance, please send a chat message to myself, Ashley Noble, Communications Coordinator, and I will attempt to assist you. It should be noted for members of the public that this meeting is taking place across two meeting platforms, both on Zoom as well as being live streamed on YouTube. Public participation, if any, must be done through Zoom and cannot be done through YouTube at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Noble. We'll indicate that Councillor Shea is away, has other commitments. I believe they're work-related, so he will not be joining us today. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from any of the members? Seeing none, it can be declared at any time does arise. Delegations and presentations in accordance with our bylaw. We have delegations and limited to 10 minutes. We do have a delegation this morning. Jess Walsh on a proposed zoning amendment. Jess, welcome, sir. If I could ask you just to take the table. Yep. And the gray button on the microphone. So now you are live, sir.
Awesome. All right. Well, good morning, council.
Floor is yours. Go ahead, Jess.
My name is Jesse Walsh. I live at 725 Queen Street, Newstead. I'm here to represent myself and discuss the matter of rezoning the property from R1B to R2. I'd like to start out by addressing my neighbors' concerns of the proposal. The first concern that was brought up was noise pollution. Queen Street is an extension of a county road, Gray Road 9, which was one of the main ways into Newstead. It has and always will be one of the main ways for residents, visitors, transport trucks, and farm equipment to travel into and through town. I feel as though an additional 5 residential units will be a minuscule effect in this matter. The second concern was the safety around storage space for garbage and recycling. Storage for that and outdoor equipment will be no issue, as proposed units will have an attached garage with adequate storage space. Another concern mentioned was the proposed housing is too large for our area and that newly built homes in the area haven't been sold yet. As for being too large for the area, the current residence backs onto Mike Haswell's apartment building on Enoch Street. The building is the old schoolhouse and zoned R3, which is considered high density residential rather than R2, which is medium density residential. The building has many tenants that do not disturb or create problems for the neighbors around it, nor ever has, from speaking to Mike and the other neighbors. Therefore, my belief is the families that buy these units will wish to do the same. The other part of this concern is housing not being sold. The semi-detached homes that Can Do Homes has built on the corner of Queen Street and Forler Street were sold and occupied immediately, with another 2 units already being constructed and one of which already sold. This demonstrates the clear need for more medium density affordable housing. The 4 single-family homes on Forler Street are not sold to my knowledge. However, this may be due to price point, them being an out-of-town builder, and or the overall quality of the construction. My proposal is attempting to actually solve the raised concerns. I am aiming to build a reputable and high-quality contracting and development company in this area. I'm not going to solve Ontario's housing crisis on my own by any means, but this will definitely contribute to lessening the issue. In fact, Ontario is looking to build 150,000 homes per year, and in 2023, only an estimated 90,000 were built. This is why all units that can be built and fall within bylaws should be built, especially in this case where the current infrastructure was pushed to be utilized by my engineers, like existing hydro poles, town water, sewer, and soon to be natural gas. I am currently in the process of rezoning the referred lot as well as one that I own in Clifford. I will be building Tarion warranted custom builds that are well laid out and aesthetically pleasing in a price range that this area and this province definitely needs. This province, like many others, is pushing for more people on less infrastructure in this housing crisis. They are relying on people like myself to build units like this and council members like yourselves to continue to approve this type of rezoning and infill. Not only is this development positive for the families looking for affordable housing with a warranty, it's extremely positive for this community and the surrounding area. It generates money for local businesses and tax revenue during and after construction. I believe in spending my money where I make it, which is locally. Local trades and businesses will be used the entire build, which will help those in the community. This also brings a potential workforce into an area that desperately needs it. For example, local businesses, neighboring communities, trades, and a prime example is our local hospitals that are currently very understaffed. Building these units will only increase property values in the area by making people view Newstead as a developing but still small, quiet town. By allowing this proposal to pass, it opens up an opportunity that's diverse. It could be a young couple or first-time home buyer that moves into a 2-story, 3-unit townhouse, or retirees that move into a semi-detached bungalow at an affordable price with minimal upkeep cost compared to older houses in the area. Lastly, I'd like to say that I respect, understand, and appreciate all of the questions, concerns, and feedback that I and council have received. It is important to listen to the community in these circumstances. I'm lucky to live in a community where council allows and considers everyone's opinions. At the end of the day, I hope you understand how important this development is and how many families you will be helping, not only in the community, but in this province. Thank you for the opportunity to voice my opinion and address these concerns from the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jess. Appreciate it. I think we'll be dealing with some of this later in the meeting. Moving on, public meetings. Aware of any? Jamie? Comment period in accordance with Westgrave's procedural bylaw. If there's anything specific on the agenda today, anybody can have 2 minutes to have comments. And this section is about a 10-minute. Does anybody in the audience have any comments they'd like to make on the agenda items today? Please take the microphone and you state your name just for the record. Well, you got to push the button first, that little gray button. Yep. No, the gray one. There you go. Leave the green one
And I'm
alone.
short. My name is Deb Forster. I have a little bit longer than 2 minutes. I don't know if you will allow that, but whenever you need to stop me, just. Okay, you do that. Thank you to the mayor, council, and staff for the opportunity to speak today. The heritage and character of the village of Newstead should be respected and maintained. The application before us today requires the time for careful consideration as it is not in keeping with the character of Newstead. I apologize in advance if this takes a few more minutes that is allotted for speaking about this very important topic. Briefly, I'll be speaking about character, density, the official plan, density calculation, and lot size. As proposed, this application before council will set negative precedent for Newstead. The proponent's lot is designated residential. Residential designation sets a minimum density of 20 units per hectare for new development. Medium density development is development that is less than 40 units per hectare. High density is density that is over 40 units per hectare. This proposal has a density of 41.5 units per hectare and fits with the high density category, not 38 units per hectare as stated in the proponent's planning justification report dated February 7, 2024. Character. Character is a theme in the official plan, and the built form that is proposed is not a built form that exists in the area of the site. In section 1.0 introduction, page 4, the applicant's planning report correctly states the village is a rural community and considered one of the prettiest villages in Ontario. The proposed zoning bylaw does not contain setbacks, height, lot coverages that will ensure that the new development reflects the character of the existing development. This is evident from the proponent's site plan in section 3. The building envelopes that are shown are not characteristic of development in Newstead. The zones and zoning bylaw standards are designed to implement the character policies established by the official plan. The proposed zoning is R2. The current zoning of the street and area is R1. A change from R1 to R2 will fundamentally change the character of the street and the area. Density is considered in two contexts. The first is in the type of dwelling, detached, semi, townhouse, apartment, etc. The second is the number of units per hectare. The official plan section D2.4.16a states, the municipality considers detached dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, duplex and dwelling, and converted dwellings with no more than 2 units, where such unit are developed at a maximum density of 25 units per net hectare to constitute low-density residential development. The lot for the proponent's existing dwelling is to be developed at a density of 38 units per hectare, which exceeds the 25 units per hectare. Therefore, an official plan amendment is required. No official plan amendment has been submitted. Same goes for the semi-detached lot. The maximum density for semis is 25 units per hectare. The lot for the proponent's semi-detached dwelling is proposed at a density of 33 units per hectare, which exceeds the 25 units per hectare. Therefore, an official plan amendment is required. No official plan amendment has been submitted. The official plan section D2.4.17a states, the municipality considers triplexes, fourplexes, townhouses, 3-story apartments, converted dwellings of 3 or more units, and similar multi-form of housing at a maximum density of 40 units per net hectare as medium density residential development. The lot for the proponent's townhouse is proposed at density of 51 units per hectare, which exceeds the maximum density of 40 units per hectare for townhouses. Therefore, an official plan amendment is required. No official plan amendment has been subjected. Density calculation. The applicant's planner calculated density based on the area of the entire site. The official plan contemplates density to be calculated based on the housing form that is proposed. An official plan amendment is required. No official plan amendment has been submitted. Lot size. The lots are too small for the form of housing that is proposed. The result is that the proposed lots are out of character with what exists in the community of Newstead and out of character with the size of the lots contemplated by the official plan. As an example, the single detached proposed lot size area in meters squared is 45% smaller than required, and the lot frontage in meters is 32% smaller than required, which is much smaller than even the R2 zoning standard. Similarly, the townhouse proposed lot size area in meters squared is 30% smaller than required in the R2 zoning standard. Site plan control. Site plan control is identified in the in the official plan. However, the province changed the Planning Act, and site plan control no longer applies to residential developments of less than 10 units. That said, it was important enough for Newstead to be listed in the official plan, yet there are no controls in place to ensure the spirit of this will be maintained and the character of Newstead will remain. Although the official plan policies support intensifications, it's not intensification at all costs. The zoning change not only proposes to introduce a new zoning category R2 to the street and area, it also proposes to significantly reduce the zoning standards of the R2 zone for the detached dwelling and townhouse standard. Can council really say this application will keep and preserve the prettiest little village in Ontario? The combination of the introduction of a new zone to the area and a significant reduction to the zone standards provides the evidence that both the zoning bylaw amendment application and the zoning bylaw amendment does not maintain the character of the area, does not conform to the official plan, and should be denied. Thank you very much for listening to my
Okay,
comments today.
thank you, Deb.
Yes.
That was slightly over, so you've only left,
I
you've only
know.
left a minute and a half for anybody
I
else.
appreciate that.
Does anybody else want to speak? Go ahead. And if you can keep it to 36
I
seconds,
will.
you'll
It's
win the
very-
first
It's very
prize.
brief. It's very brief. My name's Maureen Anderson. I live on Enoch in Newstead. And I looked up this morning about heritage conservation. And it said that a heritage conservation district defined in Part 5 of Ontario Heritage Act is a geographically defined area within a municipality that is noted for its distinct character. And I don't want to see that character destroyed by a lack, I guess, of planning. If we need, I understand we need housing, but I believe that in proper planning and proper consideration, it can be done and done aesthetically, as Jess said, and be appealing to the rest of the village, because it's very important that we maintain the appearance of our village. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Anderson. Anyone else? Is there anybody online, Ashley? Can I get it? No. Okay. All right, that's it for comments. Down to number 7, unfinished business. Not aware of any. You're not aware? Made? Where? Adoption of the minutes. Then we'll go to that. We have regular council meeting minutes on June 4th and the special council on June 5th. Do we have anybody that'd like to make a motion to accept those? Moved by Councillor Townsend, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any questions or comments on those? Scott?
Just a spelling mistake in the council minutes. My question about the Newstead Water Tower, it states counter instead of tower.
Friendly, we'll get that corrected. Anything else? Call the question then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Committee and board reports. Didn't have any come through. Everything's quiet out in the front. Correspondence. We do have a number of correspondence in our package. One that does looking for needs to be direction. 10.1.1 Big Brothers Big Sisters, Grey Bruce and West Simcoe, support for their camp. Do you want to address that one, Jamie, or?
Certainly, through your miracles, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Grey Bruce and West Simcoe submitted correspondence seeking support for camp spaces at West Grey's Day Camp. What they were looking for is an in-kind contribution to permit individuals to go to camp free of charge. So if council wishes to support that, then a motion would be in order. However, I will note that the grants to organization line item has been spent for 2024, and this likely would have fallen under that. So if council is wanting to support this, then money would need to be found elsewhere in the budget.
Any comments on it? Councillor Hutchison, Doug?
I see we don't have Cody here, but I'm curious of where our numbers are. I know in the past, our camps have been fairly busy and there's been a waiting list to get into the camp. So I think that could be a factor also. Do we have those figures?
Carrie,
I know they were filling up quite a bit. There might be a couple spots early on, but they have been continuing to get registrations in, so they may or may not be at capacity.
yeah. What you have to do is mention his name and through the door he comes. Yeah, I'm not sure, just, yeah. Cody. Question on capacity or registration at our camps.
Within our summer camps. So registration kind of ebbs and flows dependent on the weeks. There's some weeks where we're completely full. There's other weeks where we have about half capacity right now. So we, some weeks we have up to 20 campers still available per week.
Okay, Chris?
So what, so the Grey Goose is asking, Children's Service asking about us supporting campers. So what would it cost per child to register someone in there?
A standard weekly fee at camp, excluding before and after care, is $180 per week for a standard week. A specialty week, you're looking at $210.
We also are offering the pop-up programs, which are free. It's just a drop-in at the parks. Those will be offered. And we do qualify as one of the Grey County subsidy if there's social assistance. Our camp program does qualify under that, so we need to seek social assistance to help with the registration.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. Yeah, I think Big Brothers and Big Sisters, I think they do a lot of great work in the community and, obviously throughout the province and across the country. And I think it's a great organization. And I guess the problem I have here is that we do have a system and a procedure in place for our grants to organizations. And I think maybe just this would be an item that would be off budget. I don't think we don't have the money, as the clerk has already said, that we've spent all that line item. I think a response to them was just to inform them, how our grants to organizations work and maybe give them some knowledge how to apply for 2025. So I can't support this at this time, again, specifically because it is it's a budget item that would be, we'd have to find it from reserves. The other thing is I think Madam CAO has already said that there is other opportunities for maybe some assistance through other programs. So I can't support it as much as I'd like to. Thank you.
Councillor Hutchison, Doug? Yeah.
Right, so I agree. So can we just receive for information, but I'd also suggest, can we send them a letter to explain to them the protocol that they need to go through, but also the pop-up programs, which are free, and also the assistant program. That, so if we just respond, then at least they know that we discussed it and there's opportunity.
Jamie, you have a response to that? You've got the motion already?
Through Miracles, yes, I do have a motion just to receive the correspondence for information purposes respecting closing the loop with Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's something that we would typically do anytime somebody asks for a grant and is not successful. So Carrie, in her capacity as the treasurer, would reach out to them to let them know there's a process in place for seeking grants for future years. And I don't want to speak for Mr. Hewlett, but I'm certain that he could reach out to Big Brothers and Big Sisters to let them know about the pop-up and the subsidy through Grey County as well.
Okay. Still need a motion to receive this just for information. Moved by Councillor Hutchison, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any further comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So yeah, staff will look after that. See Cody rushing out to do that right as we speak. Thank you, Mr. Hewlett. The rest of the correspondence, what do we got? About 7 there that are in the package. don't think we've got anybody to pull those. If I could just make one slight comment on them. Number 5 was received a couple of letters from surrounding municipalities on the action that's being taken on our hospital and the support for a fight to keep the Durham Hospital here. Those letters that come in from the Hanover Council and from municipality of Meaford, their council as well, has given us letters of support. So thank them for that. But that's just a off comment on that. Need a motion to, if there's nothing that needs to be pulled to discuss, just a motion to receive the other correspondence as presented. Councillor Townsend and Councillor Forrester. Any questions on that? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Doing so well. Staff reports. Now we're down to a real fun one. Madam Treasurer, Director of Finance Treasurer, Carrie has the 2024 tax rate bylaw presentation.
Yes, so
Floor's yours.
we've got the bylaw, we have all the county and the school board rates. When you do get to the bylaw section, there is a typo in section 3B. The total amount for to be raised for Grey County purposes should read 7,158,795. So that will need to be passed as amended. It was just a typo when I was preparing the bylaw.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? Segment rate. Of course, the budget for anybody out there in the public, the budget was set quite some time ago. This just sets the rate to raise those numbers that are required. And yes, the municipalities, the lower tiers are the ones that do the dirty work for the county and collect their portions of it and send it on. Oh, and collect from the province to send it on for the education portion as well too. So as much as it looks like there's a lot of money, there's a lot more goes out than whatever stays. Is that a fair statement, Carrie? Yes, okay. All right. Any other questions for Carrie on that one? I think there is a motion there to receive. Do we have anybody that would like to bring the bylaw forward? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Hutchison. We'll bring the bylaw forward, which as amended. Okay. Any other questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Now we're down to staff reports, manager of planning and development on some zoning amendments. The first one being welcome, Mr. Smith, and zoning amendment 07-2024 Walsh. Give us any further updates on that?
Thank you,
What's
Mr.
in the
Mayor.
report, Dave?
Certainly. As you mentioned, our file is a zoning amendment 07-2024 for Walsh and Newstead. The zoning amendment is required to provide relief from the provisions of the R2 medium density residential zone in order to permit the construction of a new 3-unit townhouse, a new semi-detached dwelling, and retain or leave on the property also an existing single detached dwelling. It is the eventual intent of the applicants to sever the existing lot into 6 lots, the single detached, plus the 3-unit townhouse, plus the semi-detached unit itself. At the time of severance, when we look at that, we will take a look at a consent agreement with the municipality of West Grey. We use the consent agreement rather than the site plan in order to deal with connections to water, to sewer, and to deal with stormwater in particular. An encroachment permit is also required with the County of Grey in order to do work within the county right-of-way, and also for connection for stormwater to the County of Grey stormwater system within Newstead. That system is run by the county, not by the municipality. I guess you could say it's I'm a little bit mixed up because as you know, this property is a corner lot on the corner of Enoch and on Queen. So all of Enoch is under the control of West Gray. So stormwater to Enoch is handled by us, which then connects to the county system. Whereas the stormwater on Queen Street is directly connected to the County of Gray system on that regard, in that location. There are no significant issues raised by the commenting agencies when we wrote their report. The public meeting was held by the municipality of West Gray on May 24th, 2024. There was one verbal opposition noted to the development, and there were 2 letters of opposition to the development submitted. One letter was signed by 12 neighboring landowners. The second letter was a single submission. Concerns noted in the verbal presentation and the letters include 5 more housing units in this area is too large. The units would strain the local infrastructure. The potential increase in noise. The additional units would exacerbate an already excessive noise levels in Newstead. Safety implications. Without adequate control of garbage and recycling, this would attract wild animals. There are enough houses already built in Newstead. 5 more are not needed. The type of housing proposed is not in keeping with the surrounding houses. High-density uses are not appropriate. Lots would be for low-income residents. This would have an impact on property values. While we recognize the need for affordable housing, this project is simply not right for our neighborhood. As a summary of the submissions provided both verbally and written to the planning department and to the municipality in general. The lot is roughly 0.387 acres in size. In Newstead, as I mentioned, it's within the defined settlement area with frontage again onto Enoch, roadway under the control of West Gray, and Queen Street, Gray Road 9, roadway under the control of Gray County. Has access to existing municipal water, municipal sewer, and stormwater drainage, and electrical system, and cable TV, and so on and so forth. That is all available within the village of Newstead. So I mentioned the intent is to construct 1 semi-detached dwelling and 1 3-unit townhouse, and to retain the existing semi-detached, and to sever those into the 6 lots, as I mentioned. The documents were submitted in support of their application by Triton Engineering. They did provide a planning justification report addressing official plan, zoning, water distribution system, sanitary sewering system, stormwater management, feasibility study, and availability of utilities in general. They provided a site plan, a lot grading plan, stormwater sewer design sheet, and post-development and pre-development drainage plans within that regard, all provided from the engineering firm and all reviewed. To assess the merits of this application, we reviewed the provincial policy statement, the County of Gray official plan, the Municipality of West Gray official plan, and the Municipality of West Gray zoning bylaw. Provincial policy statement. All land use planning decisions made by municipality, planning boards, the province, or commission or agency of the government shall be consistent with the provincial policy statement. So I mentioned the lands are designated as a primary settlement area in Gray County official plan. The West Gray official plan designates the lands as a residential designation. Therefore, we take a look at the residential and settlement area policies of the provincial plan in that regard. Section 11A of the plan of the provincial policy requires the promotion of efficient development and land use patterns to sustain financial well-being of the province and the municipality, and to direct development of this nature to a fully serviced settlement area such as Newstead. Section 11B speaks to the provision of appropriate market-based range and mix of housing types. The province encourages all to have various types and sizes of housing available for the different needs in our municipalities, everything from our single families to our apartment buildings, et cetera, et cetera. Section 113C of the official plan has us take a look at making sure we don't have any environmental or health, public health or safety concerns. And section 113 in part speaks to intensification within settlement areas and certainly encourages intensification within areas that already have existing services. Overall, our review of the provincial policy statement is that it is my opinion that the proposed zoning amendment is consistent with the provincial policy statement. As I mentioned, we reviewed the County of Gray official plan. Policies are, the lands are designated as a primary settlement area in Newstead. Primary settlement areas with section 331, okay, are larger settlement areas with full municipal servicing. Section 3.5, the gray policy, provides direction on development within these areas and says and supports intensification of full municipal services that are suitable for the area. 3.5.6 supports intensification, requires a new construction occur in a manner that takes into account the existing built and physical environment and is compatible with the surrounding land uses. New development is encouraged to meet a minimum of 20 units per net hectare within Newstead, and the proposal for 6 units on 0.157 hectares equates to 38 units, so it's well over the minimum suggested by the county in that regard. Official plan does require the new construction to intensification take into account the impacts on existing development. Proposal for the 3-unit townhouse will meet the required side yard setbacks from the single detached dwelling abutting on the west side. The proposal for the semi-detached dwelling will meet all the required yard setbacks from the apartment building lot abutting on the north side. There will be increased traffic on Queen Street, a county local roadway. There are multiple existing driveways that access Queen Street already on that roadway. The additional 3 units on Queen is not expected to cause any additional transportation issues in that regard. There is an existing sidewalk on the south side of Queen Street for pedestrian access. The stormwater plan submitted is reasonable, but will require Westgrade to assume some ownership via easement of the stormwater management of stormwater pipe, and that has been reviewed by Public Works, and they are in agreement with that. Overall, it is my opinion that the proposed zoning amendment maintains the general intent and purpose of the County of Grey official plan. We reviewed the policies of the West Grey official plan. As I mentioned, the lands are designated residential on Schedule A of the West Grey official plan. Goals of our official plan include the provision of an ample supply of affordable and desirable housing types and densities for the present and future residents of West Grey, and the promotion of infilling and intensification within Newstead. Various policies do speak to intensification and infilling within that regard. Section D 2.4.11 speaks specifically to the consideration of reductions in zoning requirements to accommodate infill and intensification. As I mentioned, there's a number of changes to the zoning bylaw required in order to accommodate this particular development. D 2.4.11 says, in an attempt to assist in meeting the density target and to promote special needs housing, rental, and affordability, the municipality may support a variety of zoning standards and subdivision standards where appropriate. Reduced urban development standards such as narrower road allowances, smaller lot areas and frontages, reduced yard requirements, and increased lot coverage may be considered in new areas of development on a case-by-case basis and where deemed appropriate, or in areas of existing development where requiring unique development standards. Our official plan certainly recognizes that our zoning bylaw speaks to, in many cases, to greenfield development on single-family homes and all the rest of it, and it recognizes that taking a look at our zoning bylaw in such situations such as this for infill and for intensification is certainly well within our purview. The development would be classified as medium development, medium density, as I mentioned, with a calculated density of 38 units per hectare. Section 2.4.17 does speak to policies for medium and high density residential development. And as mentioned, the municipality considers triplexes, fourplexes, townhouses, similar types of units as medium density development. Medium density development is strongly encouraged within the residential designations within Newstead and Durham. It will likely be required in most new multi-lot or multi-unit developments in order to achieve our minimum density requirements anticipated in our official plan. The following should be taken into consideration in reviewing the appropriateness of new medium and high density development. 1, the proposed use shall generally be compatible. Proposed use shall generally be compatible with existing uses in close proximity to the subject lands. The word compatible does not necessarily mean the same as or similar to existing built form. Being compatible shall mean that the proposed use can coexist with the existing nearby built form without causing undue adverse effects with regard to dwarfing of buildings, shadowing, existing views, increased noise, traffic, etc. Adequate buffering, landscaping, and building setbacks shall be provided to protect the privacy of adjacent residential properties. The roads in the area shall have the ability to handle the expected traffic increase. Medium and high density housing will generally be encouraged to locate in areas near arterial or collector roads in order to minimize traffic congestion and facilitate access to commercial areas. Municipal water and sanitary sewer shall be available to the service. Adequate off-street parking shall be provided to serve the proposed development. The design of the development shall take into consideration the height, bulk, and siting of buildings to achieve harmonious design and integrate with the surrounding area. Appropriate open space, landscaping, and buffering shall be provided on site to maximize the privacy and enjoyment of residents residing on the property and to minimize potential impact on adjacent lower density uses. County staff and Westgrave staff have reviewed the proposal for connection to water, sewer, and stormwater. There is sufficient capacity, as I mentioned. Stormwater can be addressed on the property and by connection to the West Grain to the county system. The semi-detached dwelling proposed and the existing single-detached dwelling will have access off of Enoch Street. The addition of the semi-detached dwelling on Enoch is not expected to cause any traffic issues. Each dwelling unit will have a separate driveway and sufficient room for 2 vehicles. There's no requirement for additional landscaping or buffering as the proposed uses and abutting uses will be sufficiently set back from one another. The new uses are not significantly larger in scale, and there will be no overshadowing. It is my opinion that the proposed zoning amendment does maintain the intent and purpose of the West Gray official plan. Lastly, the municipality West Gray zoning bylaw. The lands are zoned currently R1B. The R1B zone does not permit the semi-detached and street house. We do require a change from R1B to an R2502 proposed, an R2503 proposed, and R2504. And within the plan, we reviewed the various issues in terms of requirements of these R2 zone and the proposed R2 exceptions. And overall, we find that the changes are relatively minor in regards to the reductions requested by the applicant. In general, the requested applications reductions are modest in scale. With intensification proposals, some leeway must be considered in order to accommodate an increased density. While the new dwelling lots abut neighboring lots, the dwelling themselves will meet the requirements of the bylaw. There's no requirement for reduced setbacks. All the side yards and so on and so forth, and front yards in that regard, abutting or across from each other will be met. The question to be asked is whether the development is proposed would negatively impact the use of neighboring properties. Potential impact on property values is not a planning consideration. Whether or not the development is proposed would negatively impact current or future county and or West Gray infrastructure works within the right of way. Whether or not the proposed development allows for sufficient on-site amenity area. Whether or not the proposed development allows for reasonable enjoyment of the lands, i.e. not subject to excessive noise or other potential nuisances. Whether the proposed development will provide sufficient room to allow for building maintenance to occur on the lots without intruding on neighboring properties. It would not cause or aggravate traffic problems. As I mentioned, the west side abuts onto an existing single detached dwelling. The new building would meet the minimum side yard requirements. The new driveway would be approximately 16 meters from the existing driveway to the west, providing sufficient separation. There will be no impact to the property to the west. The north side yard abuts onto a landscape area on the abutting lot. The existing apartment building and associated parking on the abutting lot is set well back from the lot lines, providing sufficient separation. There would be no impact on the property to the north. As I mentioned, stormwater will be addressed. In general, the proposed front yard, minimum of 6 meters for the 3-unit townhouse, would not be considered. We do find 6 meters to be a little short. There needs to be sufficient room on a lot such that a full-size pickup truck is not parked in any part on a right-of-way, especially across a municipal sidewalk. The minimum setback required by the planning department is based on the size of a super cab truck. Think of a largest size pickup truck we usually can find with an 8-foot bed plus 1 foot on either end of the truck. One foot at the front end by a garage door and 1 foot before you get to the property line. This equates to approximately 6.4 meters. The proposed 3-unit townhouse would be built at 6 meters. This is acceptable in this particular case, considering there'll be no sidewalks on the north side of Queen Street. We already have a sidewalk on the south. There's no anticipation of building sidewalk on either side of the road. We will not be doing that. There are existing dwellings on the same side of Queen Street to the west that intrude further into the required front yard than proposed here. In this case, the 6-meter setback and associated driveway would have no impact on the operations of the county, nor on the ability to expand or install any required services in the within the right of way. The existing single house and the existing proposed single detached house, that existing house and the associated deck along Enoch Street does encroach into or is built on part of the West Gray Road allowance. That's been built for years, 50, 60, 70 years. I'm not exactly sure, but it's been there for years. Okay. A future consent agreement may need to address the encroachment. The existing deck along the Queen Street also encroaches into or is built on the County of Bray right away. And the owners may need to address this encroachment with the county when it comes to that. But that is an existing building. As I mentioned, we were proposing 5 zoning exception areas, the R2502 exception for the semi-detached, the R2503 exception for the 3-unit townhouse, and the R2504 exception for the single detached dwelling. Overall, it is my opinion that the proposed zoning amendment maintains the intent and general purpose of the West Gray zoning bylaw and represents good planning. In that regard, Mr. Mayor, Council, we do move that I recommend the recommendation in the report be moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. Very succinct report. Update. Any questions? Councillor Noon, Joyce?
Well, thank you, and thank you for the report. Concerns of kind of the philosophy of the cart before the horse. You mentioned, that severance would come after the zoning amendment would be accepted. Like, if it was opposite of that, there's no way that the municipality would ever allow severance for 3 small lots, even though they're joined parcels. So I always have a hard time. I'm not a planner, and this is so new to me, all this aspects of how zonings and stuff work. But as was mentioned in comments earlier, the official plan would need amendments. You're saying it doesn't. It would meet the county official plan and the municipal official plan. Again, I don't understand all the concepts of that, but it's just like, again, accepting zoning changes without further investigations that may be needed. The encroachment aspect, I realize the side porch, the front porch was there over time. But again, shouldn't these things be addressed if we're going to be making this big zoning change to this parcel while we're at it, instead of down the road, it's needed. The other part was the amount of units per hectare, again, with the official plan addressing those, and that 38 would be allowed based on the square footage or whatever of this particular parcel. So even these are just comments, it's just, I just feel it's too much for a small parcel. I could go for maybe allowing 2 single dwellings, like one fronting Queen, one fronting Enoch, but to the capacity of this is pretty extreme. The other thing I was wondering if the municipality had looked at how the civic addressing would be affected. Back when we amalgamated, and part of my duties at that time was to renumber all our urban centers that had duplicate numbers on streets. Queen was one of them. So now when we're looking to this particular property, 725 Queen Street, the property to the west is 723. The parcel across the street, like between Enoch, is 729. So right now, even if you did some changes to the civic addressing, you'd only be allowed 1 number. But if it goes through and you're allowing 3, there's going to be a lot of changes on Queen Street that you'll have to make to accommodate that civic number change. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. So my concern is too much on a small parcel, and it could be a domino effect if it's accepted. Other people look at it, wow, this is an opportunity for me. If they're going to allow more homes on smaller spaces, it's just going to be a domino effect with other people in the village wanting to make money or propositions to build more homes. But I'm not just too sure if this is the right way with introducing this on this small lot today. Thank you.
I don't know whether there's a comment there, Dave, or not. Meg, no?
We're not worried about numbering. Okay, we'll add an A, B, C, -1, -2. Okay, if we have to add an apartment to a person's house, then we would deal with that. So addressing is just a technical problem that can be addressed either way. There won't be any needed to change anybody else's lot numbering as we go around. If you were to put had a lot and you were to put a condominium on it, and you would have to address each one of those lots on an infill on a lot that was big enough, quote unquote, okay, within that. So it's just a technical matter in that regard, to see no issues with that at all. The official plan, there is only one designation, residential designation in Newstead and Durham. It's residential. You can't do an OPA to change it to what? Because we don't have a high density residential designation or a medium density residential designation in the official plan. We have one. So you can't amend the official plan to change it to something else that doesn't exist, because our residential includes low, medium, and high all in one. Okay, so when you take a look at the official plan, it's one designation. If you're going from commercial to residential, you need an official plan. But within the residential, it is all one. It's like having our R1 zone allowing a semi-detached and a house and so on and so forth. It's all within one. So the concept of an official plan amendment, no, doesn't exist. Even if the calculation were 41 or 42 versus 38 and somebody called it medium and high, because you can see in the report that we also reviewed both medium and high in terms of its in general overall impact. They're included together in our official plan in terms of reviewing impact. And that's what we did within this particular report. And that's where we're saying, yeah, infill is going to be tighter. There's no doubt about it. But it's not overly tight. It still met the setbacks as required to neighboring. We have an entire Queen Street and a sidewalk before we get to anybody else on the other side of the road. We have Enoch Street as a small stub street, as you were well aware of, with an apartment building at the end with a semi-detached proposed on it. The zoning bylaw written how many years ago? Decades, actually. At a time when numbers and all the rest of it were far more available and so on and so forth. And when you have somewhat degree of a housing problem, then housing like this and the ability for developers and so on and so forth to make a reasonable return on a reasonable price point is where we find our infill being very, very valuable in that regard. This policy, this application, in my opinion, meets all the boxes you provided to us and to the public overall. Thanks.
Further, Joyce? Thanks, Dave.
I would debate again. I mean, the civic addressing is nothing really probably crucial if this goes through. But if you would speak to the county, and you're going to sever this parcel of 3 units after, even though they're joined, they would not allow 7, say if it's 7, that the main house would go to 727. I don't think they'll allow 725 A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. It would have to be a specific number, which will impact then on the other residents in the area having to make changes to all their documents and stuff. But it's just a comment. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Gonna go with Scott. Doug? Councillor Forrest.
All right, my question is about the existing retained house. If something would happen to the house and they had to build a new house on that lot, could they build a house without encroaching?
You're asking actually a legal question rather than a planning question. Sorry. All right. The encroachment onto both West Gray and onto the county land, so you can't own, when you encroach onto municipal landway, you can't own it over a long time period, okay? It doesn't belong to you, period, no matter how many decades you've been there, right? So if the building were burnt to the ground today, God forbid, sorry, the zoning bylaw would recognize in some respect as illegal non-conforming for its setbacks. But the encroachment part of it is still the legal part of the question, right? About building again on over your property line, and that is a question mark. I can't answer. It's a legal question rather than a planning question. Sorry.
Go ahead, keep going.
All right, my second question is Queen Street North has no sidewalk, but it is across the street. And there's also no parking on that side of the street. And the house on either side, the west and the east, both approach close to the road. So the sight lines aren't the best. So those people in those triplexes will be backing onto a road directly on the travel portion of the road and not onto a parking space. Just a comment.
Yeah, and your road speeds within the urban boundaries are anywhere from 40 to 50 kilometers an hour for speed. Queen Street is more than wide enough through there. The sight lines are good, as in it's a road, it's a straight road, doesn't have a curve in the immediate vicinity of that. There are be at least 2 parking spots available one within the garage, one within the driveway also. So so we didn't have any issues at all from county transportation about safety issues at all in terms of these types of roadways. Yeah. With the posted speed limit. Yeah.
Councillor Hutchison.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, planner, for all your work on this. And the thing that I'm encouraged by is that our developer who wants to do this, this job is here, and he's addressing some of the concerns of the local citizens, and I think that's great. I think in some ways our hands are tied because the ministry, our government is saying they want intensification, they want infilling, and if you look at the town of Durham, which is one of our 2 settlement areas, Newstead and Durham, there's lots of infilling going on. Some of the older houses, or a house that, probably should come down, is being taken down and people are putting in, some of our local builders are putting in triplexes, duplexes, and even fourplexes. So I think if it's done properly, it actually improves the look of the community when you look at the roof lines and how it fits in and so on. So I think this builder sounds like he's interested in trying to meet the needs of the community, but also I suspect would do a good job. Yes, I know it's small area, but it's intensification, and that's what our government wants. They want smaller units, they want smaller lot sizes, and they want to meet the needs of people who need something affordable to get into. So I think that as long as I've been on council, this is my 10th year that I've been on council now, and one of the things that we've talked about many, many times is about the need for building in Newstead along with Durham. And now we have this building going on. It's a little slower right now than it was before, but we have people coming to our area and wanting to build housing, and I think we should encourage that. Yes, Newstead is unique. I know I worked with the businesses there a few years ago, and it's a unique community, the downtown in particular, and that's an area that we need to continue to work on. But I don't see this as being taking away from the type of community that it is. So I think we should encourage this. I would suspect the builder will do a good job, and I look forward to more building. We've struggled with some of the development around Newstead over the years, and some of it hasn't happened. And now we have an opportunity to do some infill, and I think we should be encouraging it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Townsend. Doug?
Thank you, Mayor. And just a question that and maybe Planner Smith can answer, and to what Councillor Hutchison was saying. to a degree, I mean, the provincial government wants infill and they want all this building and everything. And to a degree, our hands are tied as a council. If we were to deny this application, the builder could appeal our decision, could he not? And then the outcome of that is basically Lands Tribunal panel or whatever, and it's going to end up getting rubber stamped above us anyway. So the decision's to a degree taken out of our hands anyway. Is that a semi-accurate statement?
That's a legal statement, Dave. I'll let you take that one.
Semi-accurate, I think is the word you used. Okay. It is important to planning. It's important to your ratepayers. It's important, West Gray, that this council, come to a decision that, is within the majority. And there are times, and there's going to be times where things are too small, too big, whatever. In this particular case, I don't believe it's one of those. I haven't seen anything where I can see. There's been others where we told developers, no, you are too big, you're too close, you're doing too much, or we need more in that regard. And you're going to find that from us and from me and from the director of building services. So no, I don't think your hands are tied. I think you will come to a decision that you believe is in the best interest of the municipality overall. And if it happens to be appealed by whatever to the Ontario Land Tribunal, we will put, based on that decision, okay, you'll see where we stand. But we have, of course, all faith in you in making the decision you feel is right within that.
Deputy Mayor, Tom?
Thank you, Mayor Eccles. I think just as much as I've reviewed this several times now, I think the key ingredient here is that it's checked all the boxes as what Planner Smith has said. And that's where it becomes more of, we have these policies in place. We have the official plan in place. The county has it. We've got basically the province all the way down to us. And if it's checked all the boxes, that's where it becomes very tricky for, maybe it's not the greatest fit, but if it fits within our everything we have set up and the recommendations from the planner, I kind of I lean towards supporting it. I know, yes, it's not always the most popular thing, but unfortunately, these decisions need to be made at this day payable, and that's what we're here for. So I am going to say that I do have to support it. Again, it's based on the thorough report that's been brought forward. I'm just going to have to support it based on the knowledge that we have in front of us. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Whether you might have this answer or not. In one of the questions, and I don't know whether it's been addressed, is there enough capacity on the infrastructure? I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm gonna let staff.
The water sewer is what you're referring to? Yes, there is some capacity in the Newstead water sewer system.
If I'm not mistaken, we're somewhere around 25% of the water capacity. Something similar on the sewer capacity as well.
Yeah, there's ample supply.
75% available. Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, water and sewer are good, as you mentioned. We are running into stormwater problems in Newstead.
Have for quite a while.
Yes, and so pretty much all of this stormwater in Newstead runs at some point in time into the county system, which no money has been spent on in quite a few years in terms of being able to expand that system in order to continue to grow Newstead. So sewer and water, yeah, but we are running out of stormwater and capacity in that regard. And that partnership, considering they have control over that, is going to be a little bit interesting as we move forward with Newstead as a whole. So.
One little historical factor. I don't know, it was 2010, 2012. There was another one of those downpours in Newstead. Ruth and Aaron Weaver basement was flooding and whatnot. So I got a call because at that point in time I lived close to Newstead, and down I came and investigated, and there was a storm sewer just outside at the northeast corner of Ruth and Aaron's lot. Water wasn't getting away, it was pooling and there was a problem, so. Yeah, staff don't work. I lifted the lid and whatnot, and something wasn't right, reached down in, and there was a glass Coke bottle in the exit. And I removed that. Ruthie has continuously said that I was Superman because within 5 minutes, all the water disappeared off of her garden. But there's more stormwater capacity problems there than just that aspect of it that day. But that will be addressed. I mean, there's been a lot of work done on the southwest corner in and around the brewery and those aspects of it, but there are still some restrictions in the system for sure. And at some point, we will need to address that with development. We've certainly seen the development at where the old hotel was. I think it was mentioned by Jess on that, and further out to the south of Enoch, there's some more intense development there on some of those lots as well too. Anyways, enough rambling on historical factors. Any other questions? Did we have the recommendation moved and seconded? Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation to prepare the bylaw? Moved by Councillor Hutchison, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any further questions or comments on the motion? Sorry, Scott?
Yeah,
Councillor
my
Forster.
screen's, so we're not doing the bylaw now, we're doing the bylaw at the end. All right, thank you.
Sorry, didn't have the mic on. That's correct, Mr. Forrester. Bring the bylaw forward, just the recommendation to bring it forward. Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Declare that carried. Okay. Next one. Further on down. Again, this one is Weaver, zoning amendment 08, 2024. And Dave, this is another one of your reports. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Z08 2024 Weaver, also referred to as the Newstead Brewery. The Weavers, owners of the Newstead Brewery, would like to add additional uses to their current business operation. The zoning bylaw amendment for council would change the zoning from M1 industrial, R1B low density residential, any natural environment and flood fringe overlay to a C1 special general commercial and a special natural environment exception zone. We'd also be modifying the natural environment zone and modifying the flood fringe overlay. In addition to the C1 general commercial permitted uses that we're proposing, the new zoning would permit a small distillery, contract bottling, outside patio, and an accessory apartment. It should be noted that there is no intent to change the Newstead Brewery into a distillery or other things at this particular time. What we were looking at, however, is also the ability to give our businesses the flexibility they need in certain locations to be able to address long-term, long-standing, whatever it is, changes in market and opportunities available to them. So here, rather than just a brewery that makes alcohol, we also took a look with the Weavers and their planning consultant to add the possibility of a small distillery, which is also licensed by the province in the future, if that is something that they would wish to desire. Same thing with contract bottling within that. When we take a look at those impact uses as we move into the C1 zone in this particular case. There were no significant issues raised by the commenting agencies. The property would be subject to site plan control. As I mentioned, we circulated to the agencies. Public Works have no concerns. West Gray Building, a building permit is required to change the number of the uses on the property. They may require additional washroom uses, so on and so forth. West Gray fire safety issues do exist throughout the building, and that would be required through a change of use process with West Gray Building. Gray County, as the development does front onto the county roadway system, the county does require an exception for any buildings that are required within 75 feet of the center line of the county road. This building is pretty much built in places right on the property line, so that's been a long-standing, as you can imagine, situation. Grading and drainage plan is required. Environmental impact study is not required in this particular case, and the county staff have no particular issues overall. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority was submitted or circulated the application. A permit from Saugeen Valley will be required from them prior to development, but they have no overall concerns with the development as it's proposed. West Ontario, some power issues regarding the property need to be looked at. Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, San in particular, San Archaeology in particular has been consulted because the property sits on Mew Creek itself and within a distance that the archaeological assessment may be required. We've had since the report was written, Weavers and their planning consultant have been in further discussions with San. San has noted that they don't need an archaeological assessment of this particular property. Public comments. A public meeting was held May 24th, 2024. There were no public comments at the public meeting. And one letter of support from a local resident was received. So mentioned, we are sitting at 456 Jacob Street on County Road 10. It's about 1.11 acres in size for the property. There's a 2-story main building operating as Newstead Brewery. The stone cottage on the lot with associated parking and vehicle loading area. The lot has access to municipal water, sewer, and stormwater. The lands are designated as primary settlement within the Gray County official plan, and the West Gray official plan places the lands within a downtown commercial designation. The property abuts Mew Creek with an identified endangered species fishery known as red dace. The intent of the application is to change the zoning from the R1B low density residential and the M1 industrial to the C1 505 downtown commercial exception, and to modify some of the natural environment and flood fringe mapping on the property. The C1 505 zoning permit all of the C1 permitted uses, plus, as I mentioned, the brewery, small distillery, contract bottling, outdoor patio, and accessory accessory apartment. The NE 506 proposed for the property would recognize the existing stone cottage as a storage building only within that regard. Planning justification report was provided and site plan was prepared by the applicant's planning consultants and reviewed by both staff and by the county and by the Conservation Authority. We reviewed the application versus the provincial policy statement, the County Gray official plan, the West Gray official plan, and the excuse me, the West Gray zoning bylaw. In regards to the West Gray official plan, as I mentioned, this property is actually designated downtown commercial. That downtown commercial extends up Jacob Street to the south, all the way down to this particular property, and then stops. There's a little bit also on the other side of the roadway that's within the downtown commercial designation, also at this particular time, even though they're primary residential. Moving from industrial to commercial matches the official plan. Right now it's zoned industrial with a commercial official plan on it. So we're moving to a commercial zone. We're moving to the downtown commercial uses, which match pretty much the downtown area of Newstead overall. And that's what the zoning bylaw amendment does. One thing I did want to mention in particular was the change in parking. The report before you and the bylaw before you proposes 60 total parking spots, 58 parking plus 2 handicapped. The applicants have noted that, and their planning consultant noticed that there might be some log grading issues to do deal with the property, so they've requested a reduction to 55 in total, 53 regular parking spots and 2 handicapped. So that is a change to your report and would be a change to the draft zoning bylaw that's also in front of you. The zoning bylaw has a large number of additions to it in order to meet the C1. The building itself pretty much complies for everything except for its front yard setback, considering it sits right on the property line. For C1, now you gotta remember the C1 zone in the downtown area basically has almost 0 setbacks, right? The idea is that they be built side by side, wall to wall, and the front brought all the way out to the property line to the sidewalk. However, this particular property, where it is, we've applied some specific C1 special to recognize it as a standalone building as opposed to being in a downtown area overall. We've added all of the C1 uses, including the ones I mentioned, and we've recognized the requirement and added definitions for brewery, small distillery, contract bottling, outdoor patio. We've added requirements for the parking, the requirements for loading, some requirements for the accessory apartment, as I mentioned, and specific requirements for 1 outdoor patio. We've done some small modifications to the natural environment zone in order to recognize, again, the existing stone cottage only as a storage use, and we modified some of the flood fringe and other natural environment boundaries from information provided by the Conservation Authority. Overall, it is my opinion that the proposed zoning amendment maintains the general intent and purpose of the West Gray zoning bylaw, maintains the general purpose of the West Gray official plan, the County of Gray official plan, and conforms to the policies of the PPS. And we recommend the motion, the recommendation is provided in the report to council. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any questions? Mr. Smith on this one? We do have a recommendation there to prepare the bylaw coming up for the Newstead Brewery. Anybody want to move that? Moved by Councillor Townsend, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hutchison. Any questions on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That one's carried. Okay. You're on a roll today, David. Number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, file ZA 09-2024 for Iverson. Zoning bylaw amendment is required to change the zoning from R1B low-density residential to R3 high-density residential zone to permit the construction of a 6-unit, 2-story apartment building. Proposal meets all the requirements of the R3 zone. An encroachment permit with County of Gray would be required to do work within the county right away. And for final approval of stormwater management plan, there were no significant issues raised by the commenting agencies. As I mentioned before, there are some stormwater problems or capacity, not problems, but capacity issues within Newstead. This one here raised that to a higher level. The county has agreed that the connection to the county stormwater system will be allowed. But they are again raising the fact that they are running out of capacity in their pipes. Simple as that. And as the mayor mentioned, we do have some occasional problems within the stormwater system as a whole within Newstead in that regard. Getting that fixed is, of course, a county problem. So good thing it's on their dime, I guess, kind of thing. How it gets fixed is a different story altogether. Since stormwater is typically not high on the county's list of issues overall, although I think council is well aware of a long-standing discussion with the county about downloading, transfer, whatever you want to call that, of county roadways and its entire infrastructure within the urban areas to municipalities throughout the county. But that is certainly a different discussion than today. As I mentioned, overall, county transportation has agreed at the end to take the stormwater from this particular property overall, and that solves a small problem, but important problem. A permit from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority is required. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, in this particular case, established minimum elevations for the building as it is within flood area, and they have been met or will be met. The drawings provided and the drawings to built for building permit will meet the required elevations for it. This building, if you would look at it, you would walk up 5 or 6 steps before you got to the living area of the building. It's not going to have any basement because you can't have any living area in the basement. So, but then the first floor, ground floor, whatever you want to call it, that is raised up above the ground. Public meeting was held May 24th. There were no public comments at the public meeting. There were no comments received as the date of the writing of a report. We reviewed the application against the provincial policy statement, the county of Grey official plan, the West Grey official plan, and the zoning bylaw. As I mentioned, in this particular case, the property meets all the requirements of the R3 zone, so nothing special was required in that particular regard. Overall, we find the application meets the general intent of the West Grey zoning bylaw, the county of Grey official plan, the West Grey official plan, and conforms to the provincial policy statement. And we recommend the recommendation is provided in the report to council. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any questions for our planner, Mr. Smith? Pretty straightforward. Doug, Councillor Hutchison.
Actually, not a question for our planner, but maybe a question for our county representatives. I'm curious, has this topic come to the agenda in terms of the need for stormwater upgrades in Newstead recently, or anything discussions there?
Probably should have been something that was done a couple of years ago before some new pavement went down on David Winthrop Parkway. It's been discussed, I can say, from being years on council, but it will be more in line when there's some major work going to be done, and at that time it will be addressed. I think we can say that there's been a few Band-Aid solutions been put on, but an overall of that, I don't think it's not necessarily, it's on the radar. It's not an immediate emergency type situation there, but it will be addressed going forward. Go ahead.
What about, is there any, I'm not sure what kind of digging they would have to do when gas comes to Newstead. Whether there'd be an opportunity if they're in there digging and have to remove some pavement, whether that would support doing something with stormwater. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Gas is usually about, a foot, 2 feet down. Stormwater in that area is quite a bit lower than that, so it won't be getting into that.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I'm talking about the stormwater, of course. The issues with this system could be a number of them. We may have infiltration into the system. Okay, so water coming from and so we don't know yet, okay? And we don't know how big of a problem it is. All I can tell you is that for this one, with that particular property, there was significant hesitation from the county to allow that one to connect onto David Winkler's system. But and we have some other development in Newstead that goes back a number of years in terms of draft approval and things like that we need to investigate with the county more to see what is the kind of problem. Is it maybe a big problem, but maybe has a small solution to it? We don't know at all kind of thing yet. And we haven't raised it with the county directly from a staff perspective, other than when it starts popping up on things like this, it's kind of like, as you said, where does it sit within the radar? And at the moment, as the mayor mentioned, it is just a radar kind of thing with the county in that regard. We have not moved it up any further in the agenda to say we have a problem here. You are stopping development in Newstead. We haven't reached that level yet.
Go ahead, further go.
Comment, which maybe is a topic for further discussion, but I believe we did. Our director of infrastructure was going to look into extra feed, like eavesdrops going into the stormwater. We were talking about smoke testing and whatnot in Newstead at one point. So I don't know where we are on that. But they did feel that there was a lot of extra water going into stormwater that didn't need to go into the stormwater. So I believe that's something that is on our radar, and hopefully we can help to alleviate the problem.
The requirements we put on the new development, as you mentioned, right? So some of the small things that we can do, such as roof leaders and all the rest of it, are now embedded in some of our new subdivision agreements and some of our consent agreements, and all the rest of it. It's tough for us always to make sure that Bob or Susan doesn't do that after the fact, but on the front end, we don't allow them to be connected certainly any longer. Other than that, it's a little bit that we can do, we will be doing.
Okay. Any other questions? Then ask if somebody wants to move this motion. Go forward with the bylaw. Councillor Forster and Councillor Townsend. Excuse me, thank you. Scott, Doug? Any further questions on the motion to move this recommendation forward to preparing the bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council.
Thank you very much. Busy day. We've been an hour and a half. Let's quick break. Okay, let's come back at 10:35, 10:30 if you can make it. Recess for a few minutes. Okay. Excuse me, we are back. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Everybody's back and going online there, Ashley? Excellent. Okay, number 12 then, that finishes up for staff reports. Number 12 is questions. Any questions? Oh, not everybody throw up their hands. Joyce first, and then Tom. Counselor Noonan.
Thank you. This question is directed to the Director of Infrastructure and Public Works. He's available.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Thank you, Jeff. When will the rehab for Victoria Street and Ayton going to be starting? I've been having some inquiries from the residents on that street.
It is scheduled for late summer, early fall.
All right, Tom.
Thank you, Councilor Noon. You got one of my questions. Good. A question, Director of Infrastructure. How are we doing on the battery recharging for these speed signs? I don't know. I think that was about a couple of weeks ago we asked that question.
I believe they're all in service.
You've got to get going to a certain speed before they get to red there, and I'm glad that you stayed down below that, and that's excellent. That's probably why you haven't seen them.
That's good. Okay.
No, the one going into town here is up and going. And I was into Ayton the other day, and that one was going as well too. in the north end. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Agenda items? Seeing none, then that gets us down to bylaws. Oh, sorry, Councilor Noon. Anything further?
On the bylaws.
Well,
Okay,
well-
I'd like to pull bylaw 13.3.
$13.3,
What did I say?
$15.3. Like, that's what I heard, but
Oh.
point three. Point three?
13.3.
Okay. That one's on the Walsh?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Jamie.
I have the button. Sorry, I forgot. One day I'll learn how to work these microphones. Yes, thank you for that, Mayor Eccles. So normally we would do all bylaws in one motion. However, given that Councilor Noon has asked to separate one out, there was a change to bylaw 2024-58 and 2024-59. We'll group some of them and then do those other ones individually. So what we'll start with is bylaw numbers 2024-54 and 55. So the motion for that would be that bylaw numbers, we'll also incorporate 57 into that. So the motion would be that bylaw numbers 2024-054, 2024-055, and 2024-057 be passed and enacted.
Okay, we're clear on those three? We have a mover for that. Deputy Mayor Hutchison, the seconder. Councillor Townsend. Thank you. Any questions on those three? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. The next one then, we might as well go to 13.3 bylaw 2024-056.
Yes,
And Councillor Noon pulled.
through miracles, the motion would be that bylaw number 2024-056 be passed and enacted.
Okay. I have a mover and a seconder to get that one on the table. Moved by Deputy Mayor Hutchison, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. Questions or comments on the motion? Oh, okay. No questions? Comments? And I'll call the question. Bylaw number -056, 2024-056. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Okay. Bylaw, which one do you want to do? 58? Okay, Jamie?
Yeah, so through your miracles, I have that bylaw number 2024-058 be passed and enacted as amended to reduce the minimum parking spaces to 53 and 2 accessible parking spaces being provided.
Okay. We have a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Forrester, seconded by Councillor Townsend. Further comments?
Three miracles, just for clarity, after speaking with the planner, I think the way it should be worded is that it be passed and enacted as amended to reduce the minimum parking spaces to 55 with 2 accessible parking spaces being provided. That way there would be 53 regular and then 2 accessible. So I'll just reword that slightly.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, understandable. Good. Any further questions, comments on that one? This one's on the Newstead Brewery. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. And the last bylaw that we have, 2024-059 on the tax rate. Jamie?
Thank you, miracles. This one is that bylaw number 2024-059 be passed and enacted as amended.
Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Noon, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. Any questions or comments on this? Councillor Noon, Joyce?
Thank you. And I should have asked this question earlier to the Director of Finance. The percentage of, I know we're looking at, you know, what the apportionments are for municipal, county, and school boards, but what is the percentage overall of the increase in 2024?
The blended rate, you're meaning?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have that available, Carrie?
The blended rate would be about 7.5%.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Any new business? Seeing none? Announcements? Anybody have any announcements they want to jump at? Scott, I'm going to go to Councillor Forrester.
All right, thank you. The Newstead Night Market, or the Newstead Market, is happening at the Newstead Community Park on Saturday, June 22nd, 12 to 8 p.m. There'll be food, drinks, live music, and local vendors. The Elmwood Chamber of Commerce is having their bingos on Tuesday evenings. They have a special bingo tonight. Doors open at 6 and bingo starts at 6:45. Thank you.
Just an announcement
Hutchison,
that,
Doug?
sorry, got it. Got it. One of our local businesses on Main Street in Durham, Fifth Element, is having a grand opening on Saturday, June 22nd, 9:45. And on Sunday, the Durham Cemetery is having their decoration day at 2 p.m. If anyone's interested in that, and I'll leave someone else to announce about the Warden's Forum coming up.
Deputy Mayor, jump all over that.
No, I'm gonna leave that one open. I just got something, this Saturday at the Saugeen Municipal Airport is Kids Day. Kids go out and can, talk to the pilots, and I believe there's, be some, short flights available through our pilots out there. So it is Kids Day at the airport. Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? Well, we'll start with these. bring your cup of, no, these are fog cups. I just want to announce from the environmental officer. Nicole has searched these out and put them together and whatnot. A lot of great information on the cup itself. They're available here at the municipal office. They're available at all two. Why don't I just go with both landfill sites? Thank you, Carrie. And our fire halls. They can be picked up there. What they are for is, as I said, they're fog cups. And fog is fat, oil, and grease. So any household fats, oils, and grease can be in these. They are totally compostable. So fill them up and basically go into the garbage on a basis and keep the fat, oil, and grease not only out of the municipal infrastructure, but certainly out of your own septic system for anybody out there in the rural area as well too, of what to do with that oil and grease and fats that end up in that system. If you pour it down the sink, can cause clogging problems. And we certainly want to keep our infrastructure and in the rural area, your own individual infrastructure working properly. So as I said, these are available free of charge at the municipal office here, fire halls, and at the landfill sites. A great idea. And as we said, they are totally compostable. So good little thing that we're trying to do to eliminate climate or keep our climate to where it is and be organically responsible for our waste. Joyce.
Well, thank you for that information, but did they look into a supplier for this? Because when I was at the Moloch anniversary celebration, there's big money for this product.
Mm-hmm.
So if they would look into that, and maybe
I'm
we
not
could find a way of.
certain at this point in time where Nicole is on that aspect of it, but yeah,
Mhm.
maybe looking forward instead of going right into the landfill, there might be a spot, you know, to even more economically
Mhm.
reduce our footprint out there as well too. I think that she is continually looking at
For
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. One other thing I was going to mention, on Sunday, I was invited to the Trinity Anglican Church in Durham, where they celebrated their 175th anniversary of the Anglican Church in Durham. Of course, Durham, we historically founded by Archibald Hunter, and they still have the little cairn out the front of the church up there where apparently in a tent or teepee, that's where Archibald spent his first evening residence in Durham. And he founded Durham, founded the area more than 175 years ago. And that was great. That's where the church started. Sure, I'm gonna look it up. Yes, you mentioned Doug, the Warden's Forum. I believe it's this Thursday, 4 to 6, for council members. We're all invited. Senator Rod Black is going to be there as well too, to speak and get an update on what's happening around the county and where the county is, and get to network with some of other elected officials and staffing officials from all 9 municipalities in Grey County. It's at the Holstein Optimus Hall, just right beside the school as you're coming into Holstein on the north end there. Look forward to everybody being there. Doug, further?
I have on my calendar that I ordered a rain barrel and was supposed to pick it up this Friday, but I'm just curious whether we have an update. I know they did extend the deadline for orders for rain barrels and composters. We see them in the hall out here. We're selling them on through the online. So I'm curious if that date is still in effect or whether we've changed that. So I'm not sure if anyone has that information.
Carrie?
I'm not sure if the director of infrastructure is still online, but I believe that date has been bumped out. They needed a minimum order of 50, for them to be delivered, and I don't think they've hit that target yet. But I can confirm with them.
Okay. Anything else? One thing I'd like to just say as an announcement, of course, it's been out, was recognized last week. Look forward to our new CAO coming on board. July 8th might be her start date. Carrie's smiling, that must be correct. And I believe that's on a Monday, and we may have a council meeting on the Tuesday. So we'll initiate her under fire, Ms. Harris. But this would be as acting CEO, then this will be your last council meeting. You'll be in that CEO's position, Carrie. So, yeah, you seem to be very keen on it. Thank you, Carrie, for stepping up again. And your acolytes for double, triple duty that you've done in the past few months. And just think, it's only a couple more weeks, just a couple more weeks. Yeah, any speech, Carrie? No? One other thing is Canada Day celebrations are coming up on obviously July 1st. Doug Priceville is having one starting at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, usually sometime around then. Hot dogs are starting earlier than that, entertainment and whatnot. Great fireworks display out there by the put on by the Grey Highlands Fire Department, Flesherton Depots more than anything. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say the bouncy castles, a lot of kids activities, music. I'm not sure on 100% of what they have, but I do know that yeah, it's a larger bouncy castle event for children this year, and the same as Priceville, it's all free of charge. So anybody that's there, and then of course fireworks. You could participate in both of them, watch both fireworks displays. Maybe the Baptist Church Road, I'm not just sure where the best would be out there, but you can't be at both, but that's as close as you can get to. Yes, yeah. Yeah. But the fireworks usually starts about the same time, so that I was just worrying about the fireworks, not the yeah. All those activities are going on. And you mentioned, Scott, about the market in Newstead participating in the entertainment at the Newstead Brewery, where we had something today, but they're putting on different functions. One was last Saturday, and I believe, or Sunday, and they've got another one coming up this Sunday. Was it last Sunday? Was Eric Bolton, I believe, had music and whatnot in the afternoon activities, and I can't think of who's Anyways, lots of things happening in Durham, in West Grey, in Newstead, in Priceville. So if you want to be at the center of where the action is, get to West Gray, all four corners this weekend and weekends coming forward. Okay. Anything else? Any other announcements? No closed session. That's it for the agenda. I'll declare we stand adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody, for work today. And we will see you